Today is April 2nd, 2020, and Anthony and I are going to get the vendor's view. I'm Glenn Hausman. That's an Anthony Melchiorri. Welcome to our live show for April 2nd. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Anthony, how you doing today, my man?
How are you today?
Good, good. Really excited to have you aboard. Hey, I just got a notification that you are live right now, Anthony, and I'm live right now. We're live in a lot of different places because we're up in our game. I'm excited. We're bringing so much more technology and stuff to our show here, right?
Well, yeah, one day I will learn how to use all this technology.
One day. But today, for the first time ever, we're broadcasting to my LinkedIn page, Anthony's LinkedIn page, Anthony's fan Facebook page, our no vacancy Facebook page, and our checking in with Anthony and Glenn Facebook page. Wow, that's a whole lot of pages. Our audience should start growing even more after this.
Well, you know what? We now have a studio. We're everywhere we want to be. We're in all of our social media, so we're ready to go. And who we got on the show today there, Glenn Hausman?
All right. Well, we're going to start off the show today with Mr. Chris Green, CEO of Chesapeake Hospitality, giving us another update, and then he's going to stick around for a little while we talk to some of the vendor community out there. We've got Jonas Tannenbaum of Samsung. We've got Yani Deros of CIRQ+. We have Tomaso from Magic Chef and Stephen McKay from Almo Hospitality, who's going to share lots of stuff with us. So without further ado, Anthony, let's bring us in Mr. Chris Green, see how he's doing today. Chris Green, welcome to the show for today. How are you, sir?
Good. How's everybody? Hey, Anthony.
What's up, buddy?
Oh, my goodness. I totally forgot to thank Bartech, our terrific sponsors over there. So thank you, Bartech, for giving us the ability to add all of this new technology, add all of these different sites, and connect out there. Remember, guys, they've been around for 30 years. They've been there for you. They will continue to be there for you as things change. Check them out at bartech.com or info@bartech.com. Chris, great to see you. You're looking a little bit more casual today.
Yeah, well, I have a different golf shirt on, but what's really looking is, I mean, how do you get a haircut nowadays? I mean, Anthony doesn't have to worry about it, but there's just things are falling.
So let me ask you a question, gentlemen. I've never worn the same shirt ever in my life 2 days in a row. Since I only wear this shirt for broadcasting,
Right.
does it count?
I don't know. It's only an hour at a time. I think you get a free pass on this, but being that we're talking about haircuts and sartorial choices, I want everybody to play a game. How poofy will my hair get as time goes on? It's already starting. We're getting up there. So we're gonna follow the bouffant as time goes on. Maybe that'll be a fun feel-good Friday thing, Anthony, where we could measure the poofiness of my hair from week to week. Kind of like I could stand up against a door frame, kind of like you do with the little kids, and we could just measure my hair growth.
So, Chris, do me a favor, save me and tell me what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in the operations world, I mean, things are just getting more and more, I would say, critical, right? We've got, as the virus continues to spread, you're experiencing cases either with guests or associates in the hotels. Staffing has become, a lot of our hotels remain open on skeleton staffs, but you do have the opportunity for staff members or guests to be infected, and it creates a whole different set of circumstances at the operation level. Certainly at Chesapeake, which is a employee-focused, central company, we're concerned about not only the well-being of our guests, but the well-being of our associates and how do we protect them. So we've been spending a lot of time in adding additional protocols, mask protocols, extra cleaning protocols, extra social distancing protocols across our estate. And I know that a lot of our peer set is doing the same thing. Every day we're dealing with something we've never dealt with before. It's quite frankly mind-blowing.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Sorry, guys. I am just trying to follow along with all the different comments and stuff that we're getting because we're all over today. So I'm just getting used to that. So Anthony, maybe you could ask Chris.
So have you had people pass away in the hotel or associates that had the virus?
We have had an associate. Well, we had a contract employer at one of our South Florida hotels, or a contract employee. So we had to follow the CDC and health department protocol of tracking back everybody they had physical contact with or close contact, and then quarantining those associates and notifying. Chesapeake has also had a few of our corporate staff that are that were infected. So that's been something we've been dealing with on a personal level, friends and colleagues of ours. I mean, it's touching every part of our life. And Anthony, you said about a week ago, you didn't know anybody really close to you, but now I do, and it's getting worse. So not only is the physical, personal side being impacted, but business side too. It's coming at us from all angles. And I think that's what is really bearing down on people. I thought this week was going to be a little better, and it seems to, quite frankly, be getting worse.
No, I think, we've talked about this, Glenn and I, off air. It's going to get worse. Unfortunately, today, it's bad. It's going to get worse. In New York City, the death toll is, I'm not even looking at, but somebody had mentioned it to me. And I don't even want to tell you the number, but you just read the newspapers or watch the news. And then with that, it's going to get worse before it gets better, but it is going to get better. It's going to get better. But I think business is going to get worse, and it's going to get worse, and it's going to get worse, and then it's going to get better.
Yeah.
Slowly. But I think I don't even think I'll be honest with you. I don't even think we've come close to seeing how bad it's going to get. Because again, I don't want to keep saying this or keep being Debbie Downer, but what's happening is once it is back, tomorrow, if we have a vaccine, tomorrow, if we have testing for every single person, the time we reopen everything and the time people are comfortable getting on an airplane, the time corporations are comfortable sending their people for big conventions, it's going to be, and I hate to say it, and I hesitated to say it, but I'll say it today, a year. I think we're looking at a year.
Well, I can tell you this. I mean, hoteliers by nature are optimistic, right? We're always looking at the devil's in the details and trying to figure out what's happening. And Glenn knows that I'm super into the data and mining it for positive news. And, as we continue to push out these shelter in place notifications, and what you're saying, Anthony, with testing, people are not going to travel until they feel safe to travel, until they know either there's a vaccine available or that there's such a low risk that they can be out there. And our forecasts have gotten immeasurably worse for Chesapeake as a management company, and also as our hotels. It's just the time keeps pushing further into the fall.
Right. Yeah.
I wouldn't even know how you would forecast at this point. I'll be honest.
You don't. I mean, you're guessing. You're guessing.
Right.
Yeah.
And you just hope that your guess is the best guess that you could possibly have. So it sounds like you've got to remain nimble and flexible. So how are you able to do that over your entire organization? We were talking to, Cindy Herzog of Smash Hotels yesterday, and her thing was because she was a smaller company, they were able to be extra nimble. You're a lot larger than her organization is. Do you have trouble moving quickly with certain things?
No, I mean, we are certainly using new technology like everybody else is, right? I've had more Zoom calls than I've ever had in my life. We made the decision to stick it out with our corporate team and hold on to our team. And everybody took pay cuts like a lot of the industry. And we had a few small furloughs in the corporate level. But we're keeping our team together. We're having check-ins daily with each department. And we like accounting right now. Everybody in accounting is super busy preparing for the SBA applications, right? Getting payroll data ready for all of our owners. I saw the podcast yesterday, or the video cast, whatever it's called, live with the chairwoman of the AHOA and talking about that. So we're dealing with all of that right now. So our accounting team's very busy, but other disciplines are not super busy, right? What is revenue management, and what are they working on? There's not much revenue to manage right now.
So Chris, let's back up for a second. What is your accountant preparing? Who's got to get it? Where's it got to go? What's the process? Please explain that to other managers, other hoteliers.
Okay, so there's a really simple application. It's a 4-page application for the Paycheck Protection Program.
And where do you get it? You
get it on, I have the website up. It's usfed.gov. It's simple link. If you
send it to Glenn so he can put it.
Okay, yeah, SBA.gov, and then there's a link that says COVID-19 small business response, and then under that there's 4 other links. They link you to this 4-page application, and then a quick FAQ that's 4 pages. And what you really need to submit, what's important to submit tomorrow is, quite frankly, I'm going to show a little bit. These boxes right here at the top, they just have a payroll calculation. And so what our team is getting together is the payroll calculations for our ownership groups. What was their payroll, including the employer share of healthcare, employer special benefits like 401k, so that they can make their application for the 2.5 times that payroll amount. Sometimes it's from the same quarter last year. Sometimes it's the trailing 12. Sometimes it's the first quarter of this year. If those numbers are more beneficial to the owners, and that's what needs to get in, and those need to go to SBA approved lenders. So you might use one of the big banks, Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, whatever, or a regional bank. You got to get that in tomorrow. And then what we're being told is, since the rules are still not final, that the individual banks will come back and say, okay, now I need more detail on the amount of business loss you've had, or more detail on the exact number of associates that were in a covered period. But the most important part is to get in tomorrow with these, with this document. So,
what happens if you miss the deadline? What's the?
Well, you got till June 30th. You got June 30th. But I mean, I know for a fact, one of my partners sits on the board of the Restaurant Association of Maryland, and there was a Maryland kind of stimulus package that had, I think, $50 million available, and it was spoken for in the first couple hours.
Wow.
So,
right. So I think I'm going to be going to sba.gov/disaster-assistance/coronavirus-covid-19 as soon as this conversation is over, and apply for mine. As you guys can see, that is scrolling down on the bottom of the screen if you all need assistance out there. So Chris, we're going to be talking to some of the supplier community out there. They're coming up right now, but what is your vibe about how the overall vendor supplier community is responding to this issue?
It's honestly been overwhelming. I get a little bit choked up by it. I mean, every single vendor that we do business with has understood and has made what I would say are significant exceptions to their either billing practices, their standard requirement payments, their how they're providing us, like our cable providers, our elevator contracts, our pest providers. Everybody understands that this is uncharted territory, and they're making what I would say are really reasonable decisions for us as operators, giving us time off of payments, suspending services, whatever that we need to do. I haven't run into one yet that has been unreasonable. So I'm sure that's what you'll hear from these vendors today.
Yeah.
Backing up for a second to the loan, are you able to incorporate management fees and expenses into that, or is it just payroll for the employees? But like, say if a management company takes 3% or 4%, is that rolled up into that?
No, there is a section on here at the top, under this request of loan amount, it says payroll, rent, mortgage interest, utilities, and other. So the calculation, you have to spend a significant amount of this loan on the payroll. I mean, that's what it was made for. That's why it's called paycheck protection. I think the calculation is between 65 and 75% on those two items, on payroll taxes, and benefits, to be able to achieve any level of loan forgiveness. So that only leaves 25% of the loan amount to pay other things, which is why you've heard some hoteliers, which, I understand and I agree with. Like yesterday, she was asking for 4x hotel operating costs, but here's what I think happened. I don't think we thought it was going to be this long when this stimulus package came out.
Well, I think that's why we need our voices heard continuously, because I don't think 4x is going to be enough. I think it's going to be closer to 6x or even more, because this isn't over in a month where we're all back to business. So I think you need 4x at least. So this is not the time for our voices to be silenced. This is not the time for us to go and say, thank you very much, we're good. This is 2.5 just gets us to a start. And frankly speaking, it should have come out immediately, said, don't furlough, don't lay off. Here's X amount of dollars we're going to pay your employees. We'll figure it out later. If there's loans that need to be paid back, if there's expenses that need to be paid back, but this way is ass backwards. And so now that we're doing that, we need to ensure that we don't take our foot off the gas and we get these operators at least 4 times.
Yeah. I really believe that the thought process was, listen, I was the same way. We were going to be back to traveling by April 15th. I really think that's what was going through people's minds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
that's
I understand. I understand, but I think can't play money winning quarterback. So, Glenn, what do we got on the show today?
Let's bring in our next guest, my favorite recently christened American citizen, former New Zealander, Mr. Stephen McKay of Almo Hospitality. Welcome aboard to the show.
Thank you.
Then
you,
let's
Glenn.
bring in Mr. Yani Deros of CEO of CIRQ Plus, coming at us from Phoenix today, and
Good morning.
Bob Tomaso of Magic Chef. And Bob, I don't know where you're coming from today, but you're looking good. And as Fernando used to say in the 80s, it's better to look good than to feel good. And you are looking good today. Welcome, everybody. We appreciate you being here.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
A little show note. Jonas Tannenbaum of Samsung got caught up. He is unable to make it. We're going to make sure he gets rescheduled, and we're going to be shooting a separate video with him as well. So be on the lookout for what they're doing to help you guys out there. Stephen McKay, I appreciate you and what you're doing for all of your reseller community out there. How are you assessing the situation currently right now? What are you thinking about? What's going on in your mind every single day?
Well, before you do that, Steve,
Yes,
just
sir.
explain to everyone what exactly
good
it is you do,
call.
because a lot of people don't know what you do.
Thank you, Glenn, and thank you, Anthony, and hello, Chris. So we're a distributor for the hospitality industry. We're certainly the largest supplier of the Samsung TVs to the industry, but FF&E product as well. And we work very closely with Yani and Bob Tomaso, who are on here, and of course Jonas Tannenbaum as well. And one of the things we've been looking at, of course, is what can we do top to bottom to help the hotel community through all of this situation. And I think some of the items have already been touched. Chris, you mentioned, is there payment terms that we can look at? You know, what sort of things can we do? And one of the things I've also spoken about with a couple of the members that have joined me on this panel is what are other ways of thinking that we can help hotels? And I'll get into that a little bit later, Glenn. But yeah, that's who we are. We're a 73-year-old company that have been supplying the industry for a long time, and yeah, we want to help people weather this storm.
And what are you hearing mostly? Are you hearing, please forego last month's payment, forego next month's payment? What's the specific ask that you're hearing?
They're only just starting now, Anthony, funnily enough. The specific asks are definitely, how can we maybe still get product because we've got a new build going on or a refresh going on and we want to complete that. And so can you suspend payment terms? Can you help us with financing? Those are the type of requests that we're starting to get now.
And are you getting more into the financing of it? Are you guys willing to do that?
Well, there's a number of finance companies out there that we deal with, and they are willing to do it. Yes, we're talking with them. So if a reseller of ours has a customer that is looking to do that, we can help them through that process.
Okay, thank you. And Chris, you're such an amateur.
Hey, Chris, do you need to take it? I could remove you from the room for a little bit.
Yeah, will you?
Yeah, I'll remove you from the room. Just give me a wave when you're ready to come back. Boop. All right. So he's going to go take care of business. And that is what's going on right now because we're all dealing with these issues. So I want to thank Chris for being here. We'll see if he gets back on the show. I suspect he will. Yani, let's get to you. How are you processing all this? Give us a quick update on what CIRQ Plus is and how you're seeing the universe right now.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn and Anthony. I want to share my appreciation for you guys being a beacon to the whole industry and having this conversation on a daily basis. It's been incredible to see all the contributions from people all around the country and the world. So we're just humbled to be here. We're obviously here to do our part, and working with the Almo team especially. They've been a phenomenal partner in this whole process. From our standpoint, we're trying to do our part. We deliver the most advanced smart room system in hospitality that really enhances the guest experience and saves energy costs. So one of the things that has been evolving in the last month or so is the fact that now we have the largest direct lender in the country behind us, providing 6 months of deferred payments at zero money down for up to $2 million in financing. So that's pretty significant from that standpoint because, we're hearing, like you had on your show last week, the construction that's going on, only 3% of those projects in that one group had actually stopped. The rest are still progressing from there. So I think it's obviously a tough time for the entire industry, but it's one of those things that once this does rebound, everybody's going to be looking to hire their team back and try to get to profitability faster. And I think one of the areas we have to reinvent ourselves. You know, we go through this tough crisis, and the hotel industry itself is going to rebound, and it gets stronger when it gets through this. And it's different than it was in 2008, 2009. The banks pretty much shut down. But now we have multiple lenders out there that are willing to provide financing and make the dollars go further.
Anthony, we cannot hear you. Your microphone is off.
You know why that is? Because I muted it.
I'm surprised I'm not the one who muted you, because I'm so jealous of all your good questions today.
So for the next 6 months, there's basically zero interest, no payments for 6 months. Do they have to qualify for that? Meaning the hotels they have to show the same thing you'd have to show for the what the federal government's doing. You have to go through a whole process, or this is basically one size fits all?
It's based on the amount of funding that they're looking to finance. So below a threshold, they can basically come in and apply for it, and they can get applied in literally hours from this standpoint. So this is a group that's really connected, one of the largest financing companies in hospitality. They see the advantage of our system, not only to help modernize and update hotel rooms, but actually cuts the energy costs, which are the second highest expense in the hotels. And I think this is really a situation where the paradigm has to shift. Hospitality has adopted this practice of letting guests control energy unlimited for the comfort and convenience, and that's been around for 100 years. And now we have to change it and stop paying and lining the pockets of the utility companies and putting that profit back into their own pockets as a hotelier.
All right. Bob, how about you give us a little explanation of Magic Chef and what you're experiencing right now?
Well, as you are, Magic Chef is a compact appliance manufacturer. Our strengths are in microwaves and refrigerators, and Steven over at Almo, he's one of our huge partners there. So we've been working together with them strongly on getting supply out there to the market, so that your hotels that are still somewhat functioning can get product, and then for all the new construction projects that are still in process. What we've seen so far from Magic Chef is we've seen about a 90% drop in orders from hotels. So we see the effects of the vacancies and the closed properties out there. Like I mentioned, there's still new projects going on, so we're still seeing orders for that. As far as product supply from China goes, most factories are about 80% right now functional. We're getting orders processed. The delays that we're experiencing are mostly at the port in China. They're still trying to get caught up from the effects of Chinese New Year from the employees not being there, and then after that COVID-19, how that took effect. So there is a little bit of a backup with that. We are getting product in. There's a delay, but we should still see a good flow of product going into May and June. So we'll be ready for the demand.
So Bob, how does a company like you survive 90% of your orders through hospitality, which I would imagine a big part of your business, just went away? What are the things you're doing, examples that other businesses may be able to do just to survive?
Well, our company is multifaceted, so we do have our retail division of our business too, and we've seen unbelievable spikes in demand there. The demand for refrigerators and chest freezers and upright freezers, those demands have skyrocketed. We've depleted a lot of our inventory, and we're awaiting replenishment on the majority of our chest freezer line. Even on our commercial side with our commercial brand Norpol Refrigeration and our upright units there, the refrigerators and freezers, those also have seen some spikes too. There are some businesses that are still functioning for takeout and for delivery. So we're still seeing a little bit of a steady flow of business there too. So being multifaceted is what's really helping us out.
All right. Hey, Anthony, we got Chris Green back with us. Boom. And there he is. He's solved all the world's problems and can rejoin the conversation. So I just wanted to bring him back in. So I got a question from the audience over here. What's your advice for a hospitality services startup that's just 2 years old that had significant traction before coronavirus and now had to pause sales for the time being? How do you survive something like this? What are all of you thinking about in terms of surviving something like this?
Well, that's a big question.
You're struck with a lot of deep sighs and breathing on that one.
Glenn, I told you, we're a 63-year-old company, and
Yep.
we're fiscally conservative. So we had a decent sized balance sheet as a management company to survive with our corporate team intact. So that's our plan. And I think that, third-party management's not going to go away. So, but a new startup, it can be tough if you've been spending on, development or investing in tech infrastructure. It's much more difficult. So, it's a tough time for new companies that are coming out of the ground for sure.
We have a not too much of a startup. They are a little bit of a startup company that we deal with. I won't mention the name on this call, but I'm calling all vendors. I'm calling as many customers as I can to stay in touch, just like you guys are reaching out to the community. And one thing we talked about, for example, their product. I said to them, can you look to maybe put some of it online on Amazon and sell some of it on Amazon to the general public right now if the hotels are struggling to take your product. Find other routes or other avenues for your product that may be attractive. And because we own a lot of the stock and have a lot of the stock there, we do a lot of fulfillment work at Almo with our other divisions for Amazon, Walmart, and people like that. So it's trying to think of different ways to keep moving your product outside of this industry where it might be applicable.
Yeah, and I think with from a hotel management standpoint, it's going to be more important than ever when the rebound happens is to be able to differentiate your property against the one next door. And if you have different services, different technology in the room, different offerings, people are going to be looking for that. And I think that's an important piece to set up and put into place. That's the kind of conversations that we're having with properties on a daily basis.
And I think that's a good point. And it's a good point because, real quick, Glenn, whereas before we would look at it from a cost savings perspective, that we would use our system for us to save costs. Now guests are looking for that kind of system because they want to see that you're being efficient as a hotelier. So it's not only for us to save, but it's the guests looking for it. I know if I go in a room and I leave an air conditioner staying on, I was like, why don't they have a system in place?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think from a technology standpoint, we built CIRQ around engaging both a hotelier and also the guest. And so we're doing our part right now to talk to guests, to find out what their expectations are when they get back out and traveling. I can tell you, I mean, there was a report this morning that bookings on cruise ships are up over almost 10% from year over year last year. So people are anxious to get out there. So that's a pretty inspiring development. But
that's huge.
That is huge.
I'm actually shocked by it. And where'd you get that information from? If I could say, somebody's making noise, so if you can mute your mics, because I'm hearing a lot.
And you're sounding a little echoey too, Anthony. Anyway, Yanni, continue, please.
I can share it, but I saw it this morning online. So it surprised a lot of people. But people are really itching to get out there. I belong to American Executive Platinum Group, and everybody is just anxious to get back up in there and travel and in the air. So, we had a conversation with the group the other day, and they're like, "Look, we were in the process of remodeling." But now it's more important from that standpoint because we know that there may be less travelers, and we have to find a way to communicate that we have something different to offer them. So
right. So let me throw in there that we're getting comments from different companies such as Brandy Patterson of Global Software Application, which is SurfRequest. They're doing a 30-day trial period now. I know that the folks over at Beekeeper are giving away their workforce optimization stuff for a 30-day trial period now to help people out, give them some solutions without a cost up front. But our good friend Ray Berger wants to know, Bob, he's got a question just for you. Have you got any orders from hotels perhaps that are being used for first responders, medical profession, that sort of thing for your product lines?
Yeah, we've had quite a few inquiries on that. We've got a couple quotes coming in for large amounts of refrigerators, up to 800 for certain properties. So we definitely see that hotels are are changing and are adapting to try to find opportunity to fill the rooms and to generate some revenue. So and we're working hard to fulfill those orders.
Great. I'm having fun following the Facebook comments as well as the ones that I've been reading off of LinkedIn here. Anthony, people love you on that Facebook. Everyone says they love the show over there. We got people coming from Malta, Alaska, Tennessee, and all over on that thing. Chris, yeah.
One of the things I'm noticing is the Facebook live that I'm doing it later at night because they tend to be more fans than they are more specific business owners. So that's why we're doing this in the middle of the day. But anyway, I'm sorry.
All right.
Chris.
So Chris Green, we're getting questions may or may not be applicable to your exact situation right now. But one hotel owner said they were in the middle of like a renovation and now they can't continue any construction. And so they don't really know what's going on with that and how to proceed. I don't remember the exact words of the questions out there. Sorry, there was a lot of comments on there. Oh wait,
okay.
Leadership decided to fast track that project, move the construction teams in, and now the state has stopped all construction deemed non-essential. Are you seeing any problems with construction and not being called non-essential? And what kind of position does that put you in, or some of your hotel friends that you've been speaking to every day?
Yeah, it puts them in all stop. We have a big renovation going on at a big hotel up in Michigan, and it's a full stop. I mean, we're literally midway through it at a big hotel, and it's at a full stop because it's non-essential. Not only that, funding. Funding has gotten. We may have to redeploy funding that was scheduled for the PIP and the renovation towards cash flow needs, and so it's changing the whole environment. I think that we're going to see a lot of that. We're going to see a lot of half renovated hotels. We're going to see people that are stopped in different phases of the life of the hotel, orders that they've got out for equipment and supplies and services that are just on stop now. I can't tell you the conversations that I've had where there's just a lot of confusion because it's so hard to make decisions we don't have any answers to. It's a fact.
Well, that was a good point that you brought up, Chris, about the PIP. A lot of brands are expecting their properties that are in a cycle to implement those PIPs. And we have heard through a couple of conversations that they're still expecting, and there has been no deferment of those PIPs by the end of the year. So they
actually have, Yani, they've come through now with Marriott and IHG have deferred now. They've given some deferment now. It's mostly into next year, but they have given some deferment. So the brands are being reactive now. They're realizing it's just not going to happen, and it wouldn't be fair to keep people accountable to that.
And let me just throw this out there to all my brand friends out there. Let me once again make the plea to you. Come on the show. Come talk to us. We really want to hear what you're up to. We're communicating directly to your franchisees that are out there. We want to be able to help you get that message out. So drop me a line, Glenn@rouse.media. You know how to find me. I see you guys all the time, all over the place. We talk on email. Drop me a line. Let's get you on the show. Let's have you talk to Anthony and myself and get your messaging out there. So back to this issue, Stephen McKay. What are resellers and stuff like that going through right now? What are some of the observations that they're having out there? And, they're kind of in the middle of all of this. So what are you seeing?
Yeah, they're in the same position as a lot of the ownership groups like Chris is in and so forth, that they're struggling. Some of them are well funded and they will weather the storm, and some aren't. So they're the ones that we're working closely with to try and give those extended terms to if we can, and certainly manufacturers are stepping in and helping us with that, which is great. We want them to survive just as much as they want to survive. And we find, because there is so much uncertainty, we're trying to come up with different ways of helping the community wherever we can. I mean, that's probably where a place like GoFundMe started, right? How can we help communities in a different way? And I think that's what we also need to explore here is how can we help fund the whole community, from the manufacturer, the distributor, the reseller, the hotels. How can we help them survive? What ways can we come up with? I don't watch all of your casts live, Glenn. I do go back and listen to some, but that's a topic that I'd like to maybe talk about on another session with you.
I agree. We can most definitely and do that. And that's the great thing about having this live format every day is that we can have a lot of these in-depth discussions that we didn't normally get to when Anthony and I were just doing a once or twice a show week, or I was doing a once a week type of a show that's out there. All right. So, Chris, if you could pop back in here for a second. Somebody wants to know, our good friend Sean Worker, who was on the show yesterday and is listening in today, wants to know how hotel brands are communicating to you guys and then wider to the supply community.
Really, it's through email correspondence. There is a lot of personal touch at our level. I'll hear directly. I just was on the phone with one of the large brands earlier this morning, but really it's to the principal correspondent that's listed on your franchise agreement. So it's all coming through an email. Then you have to have access to the proprietary brand system to be able to go in and review all the details of like the deferral of PIPs or fee reductions and everything that's going on. Some of the brands yesterday, one of our brand partners had a town hall for our GMs and VPs of ops, and that was super helpful. But you got to realize they're dealing with what we're dealing with on my scale. They're dealing with it on this massive scale and trying to figure out what's the right answer for all these thousands and thousands of hotels.
So difficult.
So, I feel like there's some dissatisfaction among the ownership community with the speed and response, but you got to realize, again, we don't know the answers.
Well, yeah, Chris, you know how it goes. There are certain owners and operators out there that are extremely critical, even a month and a half ago when times were the best they've ever been. So it's no surprise that you're going to have those voices out there that gets louder. But I do agree that we're all dealing with stuff that we've never dealt before, and we have to try to be friendly with each other and give each other the benefit of the doubt out there. And the brands are dealing with stuff that nobody ever thought they would have to deal with, and they're stuck in a really hard position. So I'd love a little bit more empathy from the ownership side of the community as well, because we all have to be good partners.
And also, one of the things, if they say one thing, there's, like you said, thousands of hotels. That one thing that seems really legitimate for that, it seems like that'll solve everyone's problems. Okay, and all of a sudden there's a group. It could be a 3-star hotel brand, and they're like, well, that doesn't work for us. So I'd imagine it's really complex. I actually just got a text from a VP of Marriott, who's a dear friend of mine, and if you're listening, please come on. I invited you last week, so don't give me any crap because you're not on today, but we did invite you, so please come on and tell us what your perspective is.
Excellent. I love it. Stephen, I want you to say something right now. You look like
Well, I was going to ask Chris a quick question here. Chris, a lot of hotels, I'm sure, have mortgages and other things, and obviously there's a stimulus package from the government that you were just talking about earlier and stuff like that. Are financial institutions stepping in? Are they giving relief on mortgage payments, on rents, and things like that to sort of help ease people through this as well that you're seeing?
Yeah, the response has been good from like the community and regional banks has been much quicker. The CMBS, the big servicers are a little bit more difficult to get to. They've got a lot more paper that they're dealing with, so it's harder to get through to them. And also those I don't know if you've ever seen a CMBS loan package. They're like that thick, and there's all kinds of notification provisions. So those are tougher, but they are beginning to work with our clients. But the ones that have had regional banks and local lending relationships which relationships in hospitality matter. And I think that the people are seeing that now. If you've got a relationship with your banker, it gets you a lot further along than some of the debt instruments that are out there. I know that those are the way that the world has gone, but there's also a certain risk associated with those type of debt instruments.
Yeah, no, I agree, because again, in talking with some of my colleagues, it's thinking of different ways, as I talked about earlier, about how they can help. And if you do have a good relationship, like you talked about, sometimes your bank institution or people around you may stay in your hotels. And if they do, can you work out I'll use the words quid pro quo, I'll probably get slapped for that.
Yeah, you should. That's a very highly charged term these days.
It is, but that I'll take the risk. But working out ways of negotiating with your lenders, your other folks, what can we do post-virus to get you on the road, help you out because you helped us out, things like that.
What's fascinating to me is we've gone through, I feel like we've gone through a life cycle every like 7 days. Because initially, even us as operators, we were like, okay, we're going to be slow in the major cities. So this is what we're going to do here. And then we're like, okay, we're going to be slow everywhere. And then we said, oh gosh, our owners aren't going to be able to make their mortgage payments. And then the banks were like, okay, we're going to have certain hotels in default. No, all hotels are now in default. So the game is changing every week. And so ultimately, my daughter, who's 18, has been singing High School Musical, walking around the house, and there's this song, "We're all in this together," I guess.
Thank you. I mentioned that the other day on the show, and I got no response. So thank you.
That's it. We are. Everybody, there's not going to be any business untouched. No way. So we're going to have to all figure out how to work together to try and push through this.
Yeah, united, we have to do this together to get through it.
And one of the things, and we talked about this on some of the shows, is at the end of the day, talking to you gentlemen and talking to other people we've spoken to, it's a mindset. And there's like, if you're trying to forecast this, if you're trying to figure this out a year from now or 6 months from now, good luck and God bless you. I don't want any part of that conversation. If you're trying to put one step in front of the other, help each other, and have your mindset, like someone said yesterday, use a mountain climber, 3 steps, 3 meters. That's how I climb a mountain. This is about getting to lunch, as they say in the military. I'm just getting to lunch. So if you're trying to figure it out, a month or 6 months from now, good luck. Prepare for it, by having cash flow and having relationships. But at this point, it's about a mindset. And the mindset is take care of what's in front of you, be kind to people. And there's so many people that have great mindsets. And what do you say to the people around you? I'm certain that you have some that don't have the mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely agree right there. All right, sorry, we're just getting there's so much good conversation over here. I've been following all that along. So, Yanni, one of the things that we've been talking about offline is about how this seems to be a really good time to reinvent ourselves, prepare for the future. Anthony and I are doing that with our daily live show. How are you focusing on that particular issue?
Well, that's a great question, Glenn. I think from our standpoint, I think that the key point for us is to connect with the guests and find out what the guests are going to expect when they start going out there and entering the hotel room, and how they engage with the front desk in the rooms when they walk in and enter it. Information is going to be critical, and providing a tool in order to inform the guests on how the rooms are cleaned, when it was cleaned, maybe allow them to select the rooms before they even get to the hotel so they can get right into it. So we're starting an initiative to really engage with business travelers, leisure travelers to really understand that mindset and evolve our platform to not only help the guests, but also the hotels prepare for the rebound on that side.
Right.
And it's something that we're doing together. Yanni and I discussed this the other day, and he brought it to my attention. I said, Yanni, we want to do anything we can. We'll help fund the surveys with you. We'll look at certain products that hotels may need and bringing it in so that they are prepared based on guest needs and things like that. And as the hotels need it, hopefully we have it and can supply.
Yeah.
Once this gets back, are we going to have masks at front desk where people say, you know what, I need a mask. I don't feel comfortable and I want a mask. New York's getting hit really hard right now. It's tragic. And our people, when they come in New York, say, yes, it's safe, but I'd like a mask. Are we having masks at front desks?
I mean, those are really good questions. I mean, every challenge involves companies and society, and this is no different, and this is unprecedented in so many levels. But we have to take some of these concerns and negatives and turn them into a positive for the benefit of the properties and the guests, to get them comfortable with going back into the buildings and spending the time and the money on property, and giving them maybe some incentives or some peace of mind from that aspect. And that's an important piece, to pull those guests in and show that your property and your brand can differentiate and care about the well-being of them beyond their stay.
And I'm feeling that coming out of this, as we get closer to coming out of this, that there's a brand out there that's going to do something so radical to try to drive more share from their competitors, and I'm just interested what that's going to be. There's going to be something big that they're going to do. I'm just interested what it's going to be.
Yeah, more radical than Oyo, I wonder. Chris, go on.
I mean, I think that Yanni said something very astute. I think that, and we're already talking about it, is guests are going to want to know when they're able to travel that your hotels and your guest rooms have been properly and thoroughly disinfected, that they're safe, and there's going to be new protocols that are going to have to be part of it. I think I saw something from Delta that their chief marketing officer put out. That's the way they're handling their planes now, that they're just radically changing the way they clean from now on forever. And if for those of you that are our age that went through 9/11, right? I remember thinking I'll never get on a plane again. I did for a little while, and then we are. But what was the real change? The real change was TSA and some of the other travel restrictions and all that. So I think there's going to be real, long-lasting changes that they're going to become part of the fabric of our life. But I do think that we're too resilient as a country to not get out there and get going on the road. I just think it's going to look a little different.
Yeah, and I posted that what you're talking about on my LinkedIn yesterday.
Okay.
They actually go into the plane with what looks like some kind of blower, and they're blowing something. They use the word, and it's fogging. They're fogging the plane. They're fogging everything in the plane. And I know that made me feel better. I was like, okay, thank you, Delta. I'm a Delta fan. I 99% of the time only fly Delta. Now I feel even safer. So if I had to fly tomorrow to shoot something or to do something and restrictions were down, I would go because I feel that Delta is doing something.
Yeah. And I think as a technologist, I've been in innovation for almost 30 years now. I've seen a lot of cycles happen, and I've had my hands on a lot of first to market innovations, and CIRQ is no different than that. But we use tools and we talk and get the voice of the guest, the voice of the hotel, and what we built our platform. And working with Almo, we're going to build these stream communities of guests and hoteliers to really understand and take them through an ongoing dialogue and conversations. And we want to be able to give that information back to the hotels and help them prepare for the future from that side. And this isn't a one-time survey. This is a community that we're going to build of hundreds, if not thousands of guests, and talk about the check-in, the walking in, the guest experience, the checkout, the interaction with the guests. And I think this is where we're going to get those really golden nuggets to help the whole category evolve and change for the better in the future.
Right. Hey, Anthony, Sharon Schaefer says it's an electrostatic sprayer, which is in there. All right. So, I'm
sure those are going to sell a lot after everyone saw that. I'm sure that company's going to do well.
Yeah, exactly. Bob, I want to hear from you. We haven't heard from you in a little while, but while you're thinking of something incredibly intelligent to say, I do want to know that Yanni did find that source on cruise ships. And according to an article in Quartz.com, booking volume in the last 30 days for 2021 is actually up 9% versus same time last year, according to UBS equity analysts in a March 31 report. That's just a couple of days ago. Pretty incredible statistic right there. So, Bob, what are you thinking about after listening to all these folks speaking?
I'd have to disagree. I have to agree with everybody that what they've said. At some point we're going to have to get back to a sense of normal, and we'll have to see what that normal is. But with normal, I think there is going to be some changes. Is the guest experience going to be different? Is the check-in experience going to be different? Wearing masks or having masks available, or even different cleaning protocols. That would be very important. I think that's going to instill a certain comfort level. If a guest knows that at one property they're going to have a different level of expectation of cleanliness at one property versus another, depending on how they present that to the guest, that might sway them to stay at one property or another.
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see how it develops after we come out of this.
Right. So, Chris, I got to ask you this then. Yanni's product is like a hands-free product. I don't want to promote him too much right here, even though he's such a great guy. But do you think his products and other product lines where you could remove that touch will be more successful? I'm thinking in particular those check-in kiosks are probably going to have to change too.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the first things that the brands put out. The brands said, hey, digital key is a way not to check and touch anything. So we can still, that's when we still thought people were going to be traveling. And now, of course, it's going to be a while that they're not going to be traveling. But yeah, for sure. Touchless technology, different. I mean, honestly, somebody was talking the other day about just showing your driver's license to a scanner, and it just spits out your room key, or you can get your digital. It's just, we're going to be moving to a touchless society. We're already close to there now. So all of these technology providers are going to be really helpful. And I think you're going to see the same thing with Magic Chef and other vendors doing different ways that we can interact with technology on a hands-free basis.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say, can I say something real quick, Anthony?
Yeah,
sure.
People that are watching this, I think they're also fascinated by the hospitality business. And I was thinking this when I saw everybody pop on. But even though I didn't know by name all three of these gentlemen, but I've met them all at some point. And it's really cool how small the hotel industry is, and how connected we are across the vendor side and the hotel side. And that's why I love this industry. You just know people from all over the world and different walks of life that do different things, but they're all connected through hospitality. So it's an honor to be on with these guys that I've met through the years at different places. So
Thank
So
you,
Glenn,
Chris.
if we can kind of, because I think we're kind of coming close to the end, can
we are.
Can we change it a little bit by me asking a question that's a little bit different than what we've been talking about?
I don't know, Anthony. I mean, we didn't talk about
Roast
this
that
ahead of
curveball.
time.
Roast the
Yeah,
curveball.
I don't know.
Yeah. And
I'm gonna go along for it.
Well, our pre-meetings are usually very extensive. I'm sorry, I missed the pre-meetings.
They're usually like, hey, Glenn, you dumbass, you didn't get me the link again. That's usually the pre-show meeting.
Where are you guys right now? What city are you in? And are people in your city, are you seeing people take it really seriously? Is people finally taking this real seriously? Because the faster people take this seriously, the faster everyone gets back to work. So, Stephen, why don't we start with you?
No, I'm in Florida. I don't know if we take anything seriously, Anthony, quite frankly. You saw the beaches, you saw all the crap. We've had the stay at home, stay in place. That's going to be Florida wide starting tomorrow. So I feel that some have taken it seriously, and there's so many that don't. My son's fiance works at Publix, and luckily they've just put up the shields. But she was telling me some of the things that some of the people get up to when they come into the grocery store, and it's very disturbing to see. So I just feel that there's a large part of the community is taking this very seriously, but there's still some slackness here in Florida. We have an aged population in certain areas. Broward, where I am, there's an aged population. So unfortunately, we're seeing a death rate, that's fairly high. So I think we're getting the message, but it's been too slow in my eyes for people to hear.
That's a shame to hear. Bob, how about you, Bob?
Oh, I'm in the Chicagoland area, and we've had shelter in place here for a while, and now we're extended to the end of April here. And I think we're taking it seriously. We're seeing a lot of reduced travel from what we hear. I mean, we are what we call an essential business, so we do have a limited amount of staff in our office, in our warehouse, to continue to process orders and be ready for our customers when they need us. The majority of us, I'd say 90% of us, are working at home. So those that have gone to the office have said that they've seen a lot of reduced traffic on their commutes. I think the city of Chicago has taken some pretty strict steps on closing down parks and walkways, and I've heard of ticketing of people and monitoring of gatherings and whatnot. But I still think that there's a certain demographic out there that thinks that they're resilient, and they just they go about their daily life like nothing's happening. And it's really important to to shelter in place to protect others. And now's not a time to be selfish. It's you have to think about others. We all have to stick together and work together to pull through this.
Mm-hmm. And myself, we're in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I know that we have a shelter in place all the way through the end of April. And a few weeks ago, we got back from a trade show launching CIRQ in Hawaii, and we came back on a Saturday, and Sunday we were like, we're not coming back into the office. When all this started, we had been on a plane, we'd been at a trade show. Thankfully, it's been 2 weeks. We are not showing any symptoms or anything like that, but we made a decision not to go back in the office. And pretty much a lot of the businesses have working offsite, and everybody with technology has been able to agilely move into that new mode. Obviously, Zoom has been great. We've been on that quite a bit. But it's something to sit back in the middle of the day and look around and listen. I listen a lot, and to hear the kids in the backyards, because in Arizona we obviously have backyards and everybody's out there, but just it's a new sense of perspective about society, and hopefully this will bring communities together and to help each other. And that's what we're seeing. People are posting, "Hey, I just saw toilet paper at this store," and giving heads up on things. So I think people are using the technology the right way, and they're getting the message, I think, finally.
Well, I think you said your new sense with the kids outside and people helping each other. I think it's actually an old sense that has been reinvented, because I think, people say, hey, maybe this is just a restart. And if you go back to the 40s and 50s and 60s, I mean, people were helping each other. There's a thing going around social media that says there's a mother yelling at their child to come inside, and now there's a mother yelling for their kid to go outside. So, I think now people are in the background. I know my 3 daughters are college age. We're all hanging out, and and they're laughing a lot, and there's a little less argument than normally among them, and they're helping each other with their nails and their toes and their hair, and it's quite interesting when everybody just takes a breath, and it's like we're actually enjoying each other's company, at least for this right now, this moment.
I can tell
Chris,
you in
how about your
Deros household, it's been a food fest for the last couple of weeks. It's been nothing but cooks. Everybody's cooking, and we make a big mess every day and clean it up at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, that's another thing we need to do, Anthony, on Feel Good Fridays is measure my waistline as quarantine rate continues to pile on. All right, Stephen, not to outdo you, but Chris Green is also from Florida, but he's really from Florida, from Jacksonville, right? Not that fake South Florida kind of stuff. How do you see things?
Jacksonville, they're like Floridians as well. So I don't think we were doing a great job. I wouldn't know because I've been very much abiding by the rules. Mm-hmm. Probably haven't left my house. I've been ordering groceries in. But I think it's important that everybody follows the guidelines. We talk about it. We have a call with all of our estate every day at 7:30, and we talk about, even at the hotels, social distancing, staying away from each other, protecting themselves, because it's not just you're keeping from getting sick, it's others. So
a friend of mine, he does production, and there's a lot of shows that are still running, new shows, and he's responsible for some of those sets, and no one comes into his building unless their temperature's taken.
Good.
We just started that.
And I think that's really important. Like if I had a factory, no one would get in the front door unless they had their temperature, and that's what he's doing. He's putting it around their forehead, and he's has his mask and gloves on, and who's ever doing it for him, and they're checking the temperature because we want to keep everybody safe. And I think, we don't need to be. I don't think we need to be told from the government what we need to do to keep ourselves safe at this point. I had somebody not too long ago. A couple of days ago. I had to go to the hardware store because something broke and I had to fix it. It was very, very important. And someone actually, I had my gloves on and I had my mask on, and somebody literally extended their hand to me. And I was just like, wow. And it's like 2 weeks ago, if I didn't shake their hand, I would have been rude. Now it's like, what are you doing? Like it's shocking how things change in 2 weeks. We didn't know what COVID-19 was, or coronavirus was, or social distancing was. I never used Zoom before. I never even attached my headsets to my computer. So whole new world.
So the last thing I'll say is I want to follow up on what Yanni's saying. I've been in this business now over 26 years in hotels, and I averaged over 100 flights a year for the past 10 years. So for me, I've been at dinner table with my family for now 19 days in a row, which is an unbelievable gift. So I would not have had that gift. So, I mean, I'm trying to find positives in this difficult time, and that's one of them for sure.
I will tell you, I won Jeopardy the other night for the first time.
We're watching it every night. The other thing too, I think, is all of us, everybody that's listening or out there, is staying mentally strong and physically strong. We are, my wife and I are going for a walk in the morning. Of course, we're social distancing when we do it, and getting back and doing just some exercise, do some squats, do something. You've got to stay strong, through this, and not eat crap and maybe two or three glasses of wine at night. But
not a whole bottle, just one or two glasses.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Well, they were selling Entenmann's, buy one box get one free. I had to get that second box. It's free.
Glenn, I gotta run.
I may have eaten it. All right.
All right, Chris,
bye, Craig.
we're going to wrap up
Have a great
anyway.
day.
All right, take you later. See you later, Chris.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Good to see you,
Bye-bye.
Chris.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, so let's wrap this show up. I want to thank Stephen, Yanni, and Bob for being here. I'll let you guys go. We'll wrap up the show without you. Thanks so much. Hope to have you all back again soon
Pleasure.
enough.
Thank you for all
Appreciate
that you do.
All right,
Take
see you
care.
later.
All right,
Take care, guys.
Stay safe.
All right. Woo! What a show today,
What a show, buddy.
Anthony. What a good one, man. Are we doing a lot of stuff online? I know you're going to be doing something again probably later on today. I thought this was really a lot of fun. Sorry, everyone out there. I was having a hard time getting used to juggling so many different things today. But we're on your Facebook fan page. We're on the Checking In with Anthony and Glenn Facebook pages. We're on my LinkedIn page, your LinkedIn page. We're all over the place. This is awesome.
So, one of the things I like to do is ask me a question, because I'm trying not to read all my questions, because I want one of us to at least pay attention in case the other person's got to.
I know.
Because I know
Right?
you're producing it. So, any questions that I haven't seen?
No, I think we've done a pretty good job at this. I got LinkedIn on this computer. I got your Facebook fan page on this computer. I'm just amazed by how many people from all over the world checking in on your Facebook fan page.
So let me announce tomorrow's Feel Good Friday. Tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah,
right?
this is gonna be a good one, guys. Pay attention.
Feel Good Friday. We have two guests. I know I
Yes,
have
we
two
do.
guests. Okay, so we have two guests. One, a very dear friend of mine that worked with me at Nickelodeon and then went on to some really great stuff. And he's actually the voice of Family Feud, and he is the warm-up man for Steve Harvey. So, and many more shows, whether it be The Bachelor, whether it be Miss Universe. I can't keep up with the guy. And he went from being a character at Disney World and Nickelodeon, and built himself such a career. And he is literally one of my favorite human beings on the earth. And he's going to come in, and he's the funniest person. And I was very fortunate to meet a gentleman named Craig Morgan, who is a country music singer. Of course, most of you know him. He just had one of his biggest hit songs just came out recently. And I met him on the set of Hotel Impossible, and we've done 2 shows or 3 shows together, one in Tennessee, one in Alaska. And he's an outdoorsman, has a show on the Outdoor Network. He's an incredible country artist. And why I'm madly in love with the guy, I want to be Craig Morgan. All right, I said it. There you go. I have a man crush.
Well, that's good, because I want to be Anthony Melchiorri. Maybe we could all just switch bodies.
He was a Green Beret, so he's just he's a superhero, and we're gonna have him on tomorrow and get his perspective. So those are 2 great guests tomorrow for Feel Good Friday. So there you go.
Beautiful. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here, and we will see you. And I want to thank Bartek for sponsoring this show. Share these shows with your friends. Let them know that we're here every single day of the week to help you guys find a path through all of this and find success in your future. And make sure you text the word hotel to 66866 to get our weekly newsletter that'll update you on all the incredible content we're putting out there, not just these live shows, but other stuff too that you need to know about. So, Anthony, thanks for another great show today, and for pulling more than your weight today.
And please don't forget to go to Hospitality Success on Facebook. Please sign in. We're helping each other. We're getting ideas from each other. So please go to Hospitality Success on Facebook. Me and my partner, Jeremy, we're still helping our clients. We're still helping other people. We understand the situation people are in. So Hospitality Success, ask us a question. Either myself, Jeremy, or another hotelier will answer it. So thank you so much. And Glenn, talk to you in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, talk to you as soon as this broadcast ends. I want to thank everyone for being here. We will see you tomorrow for a little Feel Good Friday. So for Anthony and myself, Glenn, thanks for being with us today, and we'll see you tomorrow.